Now on BBC News, a roundup of the day's sporting action, plus talking points, analysis and original journalism. BBC Sport.
Hello, I'm Hugh Ferris at the BBC Sports Centre. Our top stories. Relegation threatened at home, but through to the last 16 in Europe. Nottingham Forest's season of extremes continues. South Africa sail into the T20 World Cup semi-finals as the only remaining unbeaten team. And how to prepare for New Delhi when you're used to Norfolk. We meet the English long-distance runner layering up for his international debut. Hello again, welcome along. With the amount of English teams in Europe this season, it was always likely you'd have one or maybe more that cannot match domestic and continental form. And with Spurs very much fulfilling that role in the Champions League, it's the team a place below them in the Premier League, Nottingham Forest, who are doing the very same in the Europa League. Playing for their fourth manager of the season, they've knocked out Fenerbahce to make the last 16. Colin Hazelden has more from the City Ground.
Well, for 65 minutes, this tie was unexpectedly exciting, distressingly so for Forest fans, rather more thrillingly for Fenerbahce, who arrived here severely weakened, 3-0 down from the first leg and expected to go out meekly. They did no such thing. They got themselves into the lead in the first half, doubled it early in the second. Suddenly, Forest were on the back foot, but their best players were on and were able to steady the ship. Callum Hudson-Odoi scoring the goal that eventually calmed the nerves and made sure it was indeed Forest to go through to the last 16. It finished here, Nottingham Forest 1, Fenerbahce 2, 4-2 to Forest on aggregate.
Meanwhile, Scottish involvement in Europe is over after Celtic were knocked out by Stuttgart despite a second-leg win, their first ever in Germany. Luke McCowan scored inside the first minute, but Celtic needed more than the eventual 1-0 victory, the tie finishing 4-2 on aggregate to Stuttgart. Celtic's next match is an Old Firm meeting with Rangers in the Scottish Premiership on Sunday. Elsewhere, Lille and Ferencváros overturned first-leg deficits to go through to the last 16. Panathinaikos needed penalties to get past Victoria Pilsen. Genk extra time to beat Dinamo Zagreb, while Bologna and Celta Vigo also confirmed their places in the next round. Crystal Palace continue to make history in their Conference League run, beating Bosnian side Zrinski in their first ever knockout tie in the main stage of a European competition. After a disappointing 1-1 draw in the first leg, Palace won at Selhurst Park for only the second time since the beginning of November. A 2-0 victory courtesy of Maxence Lacroix and Evan Gesson. Added to the Premier League win over Wolves last weekend, it is a welcome return to form for manager Oliver Glasner, who's announced he's leaving at the end of the season, but had faced calls from some fans to go a little sooner. Elsewhere then in the Conference League, Fiorentina nearly threw away a 3-0 first leg advantage at home to Polish side Jagiellonia before eventually coming through their tie after extra time. AZ turned a 1-0 deficit into a 4-1 aggregate win over Noah of Armenia. Celje Rijeka, Samsunspor, Sigma Olomouc and Lech Poznan, the other teams to make the last 16. South Africa have qualified for the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup after a win for both them and then defending champions India secured for them a place in the last four. Imran Sidat reports.
A meeting of two of the tournament's unbeaten sides in Ahmedabad as the race for the semi-finals sparked into life. South Africa put their opponents in after winning the toss, and it looked like a great decision as they tore through the Windies' top order with 4 wickets in 11 balls. Things didn't get much better for the two-time winners, with wickets falling at regular intervals as they slumped to 83 for 7. That was until a partnership which salvaged the innings. Romario Shepherd and Jason Holder put on 89, which helped them to make 176 from their 20 overs. It looked like a tricky chase, but the South African openers had other ideas. Aidan Markram and Quinton de Kock set about dismantling the West Indian attack. The skipper Markram led from the front as he smashed an unbeaten 82 to send the Proteas into the last 4. Beaten finalists 2 years ago, they'll now be hoping this is their time to go one better and win the event for the very first time.
It is seriously cutthroat. It's a high level of cricket, obviously, but the intensity and the amount of energy that drains you each game is quite high. So you need to stay on your toes. As we mentioned earlier, you can't take many things for granted and keep locking into to ultimately why you're here.
Over in Chennai, that result meant India had to beat Zimbabwe, and the defending champions showed their class. Abhishek Sharma's half-century set them up for a big total. The Indian batters were beginning to enjoy themselves as they continued to put the Zimbabwean bowlers to the sword. Hardik Pandya finished the innings in style. His 50 blasted them to 256 and the second highest total in the competition's history. In reply, Zimbabwe struggled to keep up with the mammoth run rate despite the best efforts of Brian Bennett, who ended unbeaten on 97. Perhaps the surprise team to make the Super 8s, the Gulf class eventually showed as India completed a 72-run victory. Defeat eliminates Zimbabwe, but India keep their hopes alive.
As we discussed yesterday, just before the game, we'll go with a good mindset, and we have seen our past 1 year of T20 cricket, how we played. So it was really, after seeing that video, everyone got our confidence, and that's what we discussed as a team. Like, we just enjoy and put the smile on.
So all still to play for in this group, with a winner-takes-all tie against the West Indies to come on Sunday. Imran Sidat, BBC News.
Despite winning 22 titles in his career so far, Daniil Medvedev has never done it twice at the same tournament. But he is 2 victories away from doing just that in Dubai. The former world #1 sailed into the semi-finals with a straight sets win over Jenson Brooksby, giving up only 3 games in total in a 6-2, 6-1 victory. Medvedev finished the American Open just under an hour as he attempts to add this title to the one that he won here in 2023. And Medvedev will face the top seed, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who beat the Czech 8th seed, Yuri Lehechka, in straight sets, booking his place in his second straight Dubai semi-final. And Canadian has made the quarter-finals or better at 10 of his last 11 tournaments. Now, to what lengths will runners go to prepare for a major race? Well, Logan Smith lives and trains in the English county of Norfolk, but he's getting ready to run in New Delhi in what is his first international competition. The temperatures are significantly different between the two places, so Logan has been layering up ahead of the 50-kilometre World Championships, as Tom Williams reports.
This is Logan's life. He loves to run.
I'm doing roughly 130 miles a week, running morning and evenings, training up in Norwich a lot, training on the North Norfolk coast, hills. Yeah, the sacrifices, social life, yeah, non-existent really, but worth it. When a call-up comes, it's 100%.
He's just been picked for Great Britain for the first time for the World 50-kilometre Running Championships in New Delhi, India.
It's going to be warm, probably quite humid. It's a 5-kilometre loop, but it means you can sort of stay all together, and hopefully the race start time is going to try and counteract some of the heat and humidity.
He'll have to set his alarm clock. The race starts at 4 a.m. He's also taking matters into his own hands, training indoors in a hat, snood and gloves, not to mention 4 layers of clothing.
In terms of preparation, just how vital is this?
This is 100% needed within the training. It's so cold outside in the North Norfolk coast that coming in here, putting some layers on, it means that I can try and replicate that feeling of heat, and then also just adjust the body, try and get it to be able to work a bit more efficiently.
No cooling off afterwards either. Not a warm down for Logan, but a further warm up.
How worried are you about the heat?
It's dangerous. It's something that not a lot of people would choose to do because of, heat exhaustion. There's a lot of training that goes into it. So in terms of hydration, in terms of fueling, in terms of sleeping, there's going to be a lot of training that has to be adjusted, and also race tactics.
He's just returned from the Seville Marathon. 2 hours, 21 minutes, comfortable pace, crucial preparation. He had to pay for the experience. With very little funding, he relies on a part-time job and help from sponsors.
So what's the goal in New Delhi?
The goal is to enjoy the experience, but also compete as best as I can. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I just want to go out and have fun, but I do want to have fun. But then I also want to run the absolute best I can, not only for myself, for my coaches, for family, but also to be able to go and run for Great Britain is, yeah, it's something that I've always dreamed of. So I want to give it absolutely everything.
At 28, Logan's the youngest on the British team. One day, he hopes to become an Olympian. He'll go to all lengths to be a success.
Tom Williams reporting. Much more on our website, of course. That's where you'll be able to follow the 3 European draws for the last 16. In fact, they're making the draws all the way through until the semi-finals and final in the Europa League, the Conference League from Thursday, and, of course, the Champions League as well. If you're in the UK, you can watch a live stream of it all unfold as well. Lots of either-ors to sort out. But that's it from me here and the team. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.